Alright guys, thanks for coming back for another tutorial video. This time we're going to try something a little bit different. This is going to be the first in, I think, a series of videos. I'm going to kind of dub 15-minute customs. And what they are just quick little ideas that you guys can do yourselves to kind of upgrade your figures. A lot of them are going to require minimal painting. I know that's a question that a lot of people have, is that they don't feel that they're not very good at painting. So the ideas I'm going to kind of show you and kind of go over are things that anyone can do if you have just a couple of basic supplies. So what we're going to do today, it might take more than 15 minutes because this is the first time I'm doing this, is we are going to take, I have a Winter Soldier figure from the Marvel Infinite Captain America movie line, and what we're going to do is we're going to swap out that shoulder and arm with the Bucky Cap shoulder and arm. I think it'll just give Bucky Cap a different kind of look. I have about 6 or 7 of these that I've picked up for different custom projects, so this will be kind of a cool idea to see if this works. Now unfortunately you can't just heat and pop the shoulder joint out. If you do, you'll actually break it. You can, and some people have done this, is you can actually heat the bicep right where it meets the tricep right there. Heat it up right there, pull this off, and then stick it and swap them that way. But then you're left with that on top of this shoulder joint. And it doesn't really, it looks good, but we can make it look better. So that's what we're going to work on today. So we're going to work on making it look a little bit better. So I'm at my desk where I do all of my custom work. And I think what we're going to try is we're going to try cracking Bucky Cap first. Now what we need to do is we need to crack the torso. And I've got some super glue handy, which I'm going to be using. This is the super glue I use, is Loctite super glue. It's the best stuff I've found for working on action figures. Either the gel control is what I prefer. You can buy, they make extended work time Loctite too, so if you're not careful you can use that. This stuff will bond pretty instantly. It works great. So I've got that, and I've got my favorite tool for cracking open figures, which almost looks like a big giant scalpel. Alright, it's got a nice big handle on it, so hopefully I'm not going to slip and cut myself on camera. That would be really bad. So what we need to do, and this is where it gets kind of tricky on this particular figure, because you want to, there's a couple ways you can do it. What we essentially want to do is we want to make a cut, and we want to split the torso on both sides, on the top and all the way around. And what's going to end up happening is when we do that, we'll be able to pull that shoulder joint out and put the new one in. So you can do it a couple of different ways. Some people will actually come down here and they'll split the bottom piece, pull this out, and it makes it a little easier to get to these pieces. The Winter Soldier, I was looking at it before I started filming, and it looks like it's not a straight cut, which is going to be kind of tricky to do. Before we get started, make sure before you do any of this stuff, you don't mind ruining the figures. I have 3 Winter Soldiers. This is my 3rd one. I'm going to pick up 2 more because I need the legs from it. So I really don't mind if I ruin one. Bucky Cap, like I said, I've got like 8 or 9 of them. So I don't mind if I ruin that. But I think when we're done, it's going to look pretty good. So again, what I'm going to do is, and I'm trying to do this on camera too, is I'm going to kind of, you want to work slow. Take your razor blade and you just kind of work and split that torso. And you'll feel it once it starts to go in. Yep, I can hear it cracking. That's a good sign. Again, you have to crack it on both sides. So I'm going to come down here and try to keep it straight line. Because the last thing, I mean, I can repaint the figure when I'm done. I'd rather not do that if I don't have to. Alright, that side's pretty much split. From there, again, you can put your knife back in, and it's going in quite a bit, as you can see. So if I twist it a little bit, it's going to crack on that side. And I don't want to twist it yet because I haven't loosened or cracked the other side yet. So I'm going to crack the other side, and I'm going to work on the top. I'm trying to do this on camera for you guys so you guys can kind of see, but it's a little difficult. And normally I would take off the web gear and all that stuff, but because this is a quick 15-minute custom, or what we're going to try to call that, Yeah, I'm just going very, very slow. There it goes. That one's going to crack. And what I might have to do is I might have to crack the bottom joint too. That might make it a little easier. But that's how it looks like it's cracked. Now I'm going to come up to the top and look, and you want to just look where your line is, and you want to try as best as you can to go across that line. Again, this is where it gets really difficult to do on camera. I hope you guys can kind of see that. And just go very slow. You don't want to cut yourself. It's a lot easier if you go slow. And what some people will do too is they will actually put this in boiling water, and they'll do something called cracking the torso, which is where you basically put it in a vise and you crack it. I like scoring that piece. I may actually have to heat this up depending on how bad the glue is on the inside. I've never cracked a Bucky torso yet. I've cracked a couple other torsos that really weren't that bad. And you know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to crack that bottom piece out. It'll just make it a little easier for me. And I can always glue it back. There it goes. I got that side done. Let me get this side. And then I can pop it out. I can show what the figure looks like on the inside. So I've got the torso cracked pretty much. And there we go. And I can hear it. This is also a way too you can swap out upper torsos with lower torsos. This is the same way you want to do it. And now I can just pull that off and pull these pieces out. And now this might make it a little bit easier to kind of get in that torso. This is taking a little bit longer than 15 minutes. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to pause the video. I'm going to go ahead and keep working on this. I'm going to go ahead and crack the other side, and before I reassemble it, I'll come back and I'll show you what it looks like, okay? Alright. Alright, thanks for coming back. I have both torsos cracked. It only took me about 10 minutes once I turned off the camera and I could get better angles. The Winter Soldier torso, I really wasn't worried about, being too neat or anything like that, because I'm probably going to scrap the rest of the figure. I'll pull off the arms and save them for maybe another custom. But the Bucky Cap, I wanted to make sure I was kind of careful with. And as you can see, I did a pretty good job. I didn't really break anything on the inside, which was my goal, so that when I get done, I can actually just slip this back on, put a little glue, and hopefully I won't have to paint. Now I did scuff up right up there, but I don't think we're going to be able to really see that. So there's that, and then here is his front piece. Oop. His front piece, and then this just slides on this piece here. That's what gives you your ab crunch. So his arm just comes right out, and it has this little bracket piece in here. I think I might need this, so I'm just going to pull this off, and there's his arm. What it does is it just kind of sits in there, and then it, this keeps it stationary, and then this can rotate, and that's where you hear that ratchet sound. Oops, sorry. That's where you hear that ratchet sound right there, as it clicks. So set that aside. Set this aside for a second. And here's what the Bucky torso looks like. And you notice the Bucky torso does look different. It has this piece going down, which I didn't know it had. And then, like that one, I didn't really care. I mean, I could easily put this back on and glue it and maybe, add a little bit of paint and it'd be fine. But I took that off. And then for this one, here's the middle piece. It would just sit in the grooves and give him his ab. Oh, sorry guys, I'm trying to get this in focus. Give him his ab crunch. You can hear the ab crunch going there. So I'll set this aside, and I'll save these pieces because you never know. I might need it for something else, but let me grab his arm out of there, which is what I really want. And there it goes. Now I'll set this aside. Now, before I go to put this guy together, what I want to do is I want to kind of compare the two arms and kind of see, make sure they're roughly the same size. And The Bucky Cap arm is a little bit bigger than this one. I think I might be able to get away with it. I might run into a problem. The Bucky Cap also has that little groove there, which goes inside this piece. And if I'm looking at it, I don't think this is going to fit in there. Now I could, and I might, Dremel that to make that fit. But let's just see if it'll fit without it and see how it'll work. And sometimes you have to do this. You have to kind of play around with the figure. So it'll fit in there. These shoulder joints are really, really tight. Every Bucky Cap I've had has been tight like that. Here we go. So I mean, while I have the figure completely disassembled, this would be a good time to kind of sand down the joint a little bit, make it not a lot looser, but a little bit looser. And there. Now I'll kind of sit like that. It's flopping around a little bit, and I don't really like that, so I think I might trim it. And to trim it, I would just carefully use a Dremel, because otherwise I'm going to be able to move it, but it's going to be wicked loose in his arm, and I really kind of want it to be stationary like the other joint was. So I'm going to pause the video, I'm going to trim it up just a little bit, so it'll fit in the little black piece here. Black piece here. So I just have to trim just a little bit off two of the sides, it looks like, and actually all the sides really. And then I'll make that fit, and then we'll be able to put the arm in and be able to put the figure back together, and we'll be done. So probably another 10-15 minutes. So this is probably a half-hour custom instead of a 15-minute. Alright, I'm going to pause the video and I'll come back once I have it trimmed. Alright, we're back. I've completed dremeling out the little disc piece that's going to sit inside the figure and kind of hold that arm in place. So it'll fit in the little black piece that came in the Bucky Cap that kind of keeps it stationary. Just to give you an idea how much I've dremeled off, this is what it looks like now. And this is how thick and how big it was originally. So I took off quite a bit. And the key with doing this, any kind of work like this, you know, I like to use a cordless Dremel. Some people like to use one that's plugged in. This one works great for me. It's small enough, I can easily maneuver it. Is do a little bit at a time. You can always take away more, but you can't add more back in. So I'm just going to put this back on here. And again, there it goes. Kind of sit like that. And then I'm going to insert this right in the shoulder. And now it's going to hold just like that. And Bucky Cap is looking badass already. So now what we're going to do is what I like to do is I like to do like a test fitting almost. And I did this off camera already, and I know that, this will fit no problem. And I snapped it back together, it looked great. So since I know it's going to fit, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put some glue to kind of hold the figure back together. And when I'm done with this, we're going to reattach the upper torso to the lower torso. So I'm going to be very careful with the glue because I don't want to use too much because I don't want it to seize up anywhere where I don't want it to. Use a little bit right there. Oh. Put some up there. Again, a little bit goes a long way with this stuff. And there we go. And you don't want to put too much on the neck joint, otherwise the neck joint will freeze on you. A little bit right there. Right there, and then come here, and come here, and that probably should be good for the glue. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fit this back on, and very carefully, trying not to touch my fingers to the glue. Just kind of push it together, and this is where you want it, because you're reattaching it. You want to make sure it's all the way pushed together. And I like to hold it for a couple minutes. See, like I have a gap right there. I don't really like that. So I'm going to move the arm around a little bit to try to get rid of that gap. And kind of squeeze it together and then let the glue set. Sometimes, because I'm putting this ball joint on the shoulder is a little bit, you guys can't see, sorry. This ball joint on the shoulder is a little bit bigger. So I might have a gap there. Now, if you are comfortable with customizing, you can easily fill in that gap with a little bit of putty, sand it down a little bit, paint it, because flat black paint No one will ever know. And I probably end up doing. I probably will end up doing that. See, I got a little bit of super glue right there, which is not good. Let's try to get some of that off. So I might actually have to repaint this too. So you want to be very, very careful. Move your neck joint around. Make sure it doesn't get frozen. There, looks pretty good. There. And if you see on this side, it's still pulling like that. And that's because this joint is bigger than the other piece. So what you want to do is you want to kind of get, I'm going to try putting a little bit of glue in there and try squeezing it just so it can make a hold. And again, this isn't the greatest way to do it, but I'm trying to be careful not to touch anything with my hands, because if you get super glue on them, it will stick, hence why it's called super glue. And kind of just try to squeeze it together just so I can make a bond. And you can kind of see, just make a little bit of a bond right there. Move that to the middle. And if you do this right, you know, if it was a normal size shoulder, that wouldn't have happened. Only thing I could have done is I could have tried trimming down the shoulder cavity, which I may end up doing if this doesn't really come out the way I want it to. I was taking it back apart and doing that, but this was supposed to be a quick 15-minute custom. It's turning out to be more of a half-hour, 45-minute custom. So I'm going to pause the video while I get this all glued and all set back together, and then I will unpause it when I'm ready. Alright, so we're all back. Bucky Cap is all put back together, and overall, I'm pretty happy with it. There's a couple of things I think if I do another one like this that I would change, and that would probably be on the shoulder joint. I think I would trim just a little bit around. I think that will help this shoulder sit flush like this one does, because it kind of sticks out a little bit. It's not really noticeable. I notice it just because I'm weird like that. And then, another thing I think I'm going to do is I'll actually go get some putty, fill that in, sand it, and I'll paint all the black, flat black, which will help too. So you don't notice it. I may end up painting the blue. I haven't decided. I did get a fingerprint up there, which I'm not really happy about. So I'm going to wait for that to dry completely, and then I'm going to try to take like a little bit of a goof off very carefully and try just to get the top layer of super glue off. But overall, I mean, he went back together fine. To get this piece in, all I did is I put a little bit of glue on the back piece, put it in, put the legs in so he's laying down like that, put the top piece in, and then squeeze them together, and he's good. So again, if you have an extra winter soldier, and let's face it, if we're buying Mandroids, we're gonna have extra winter soldiers. Why not take one of those Bucky Caps you got laying around, or one that you can get from Ross or TJ Maxx for $7.99, and make just a quick little custom. So again, this has been US Agent 27 from the MUCollectorClub.com forums. I hope you liked this video. If you want to see more stuff like this, please let me know. Definitely, leave me a comment, or come find me on MUCollectorClub.com. And if you guys like this kind of stuff, we'll definitely do more. I've got a couple more ideas. I recently upgraded my Drax figure, or I'm sorry, my Ghost Rider figure using a Drax body, and I can show you guys how I did that. It's pretty simple. It took about an hour to do, a little bit of painting on that one, not too much. Overall, it was pretty simple and easy to do. Anyway guys, this has been US Agent 27. Again, I hope you guys like this, and come check us out at MUCollectorClub.com. Thanks.